comment you made? Okay. What has happened so far, okay, and I love using a pothole because everybody can see the pothole, okay? We all acknowledge that the pothole's in the middle of the road, okay? Everybody acknowledges that. We acknowledge the issues that we have, okay? But you know what? The pothole is still there because everybody is waiting for everybody else to step up to the plate and fix that pothole. Okay, the thing is that now we've got everything on the table. What can we do to fix it? And how can we start about going doing it? And let's get doing it. That's the thing. Okay, we've already called the pothole. We've already seen the pothole. Okay, but instead of everybody saying, well, this is another person's responsibility, this is another person's responsibility, has anybody ever heard the story about no one? Everyone knew that someone should do it, but no one did it? How many of you have actually heard that? Because that's what's happening right now. No one is doing it. I, for one, want to take action.
Good.
I just wanted to agree with you. In the downtown, the places where I, as a tenant attorney, don't see a lot of problems are the community concepts buildings, Lewiston housing, because I think they have the capital to maintain the units. The tenants' rent is set to a portion of their income, so you don't have the desperation, the real desperation you get people that are living downtown in unsubsidized, unfit units. And it isn't, like you said, it's not. And they do great jobs. I fight with Lewiston housing all the time, but they do. They have quality housing. They maintain it, and they police their property fairly, I think. But maybe you guys can speak to this. What is going to happen to all the vacant lots downtown when those buildings come down? Is there?
I'll build some housing right now. I'm ready. I've already told people I've got money. Just give me some open land, and I'll build brick row homes like I grew up in Baltimore, the downtown urban environment, and rent them out at a fair market rate.
Do you think you can do that on Backwood Street?
If I can get critical mass of open area to develop, that's the thing. We need longevity. That's why I mentioned about the blocks. Are blocks too short? Should they be longer and cut some of this cross streets out? You get us a neighborhood feel, and there's people that will do this. I don't want to make a profit now. I want my kids to make a profit in 20 years. Sure, when they're paid for it. That's why I do everything. That's why a lot of people do it. And remember, I grew up homeless when I was 8 years old in Maine. Okay?
Here we go, Paul.
Yeah. And I grew up, from being on the streets up. Everybody can do that. You just got to go out and do it.
Matt raises a great point. It's a point that we've been talking about in-house. It's a point that the DNAC has been talking about, planning board has been talking about, and the entire community is talking about with respect to the vacant lots. Number one, we don't own any of those lots. The lot that we actually own, we were in control of, was a desperate property at 147 Savannah Street. We were able to find good landlords. They're going to put those 10 units back online. But the buildings that we've been knocking down, people have abandoned, we don't know. And we don't know whether those liens are going to mature or not. But part of the process that we're going through the comp plan is to create a vision for those lots. What's going to happen to those lots? Certainly some of what Jason's saying has to happen. We want to see that new development downtown. We need housing. We need critical mass.
What's pushing all the vacant lots to become beach volleyball sites? I mean, is there a requirement? Do you have to sand the lot, or
Oh my gosh!
We don't own it.
No, I know, but I mean, like, something allows them to put sand there. Could it also just be wildflowers
or grass?
If somebody was going to take care of it.
Yeah, the requirement
See, that's the thing.
We don't know.
It's pretty much
If it was
the
at-
level?
the level.
Yeah.
And making sure it's
That's what
secure.
you're asking me to.
Yeah.
In some instances, we require loam and seed primarily for erosion control.
Right.
It's a slip lot. We've had a lot of discussion about whether we should require that on all of the properties. The difficulty is that in almost all of these instances, there is no responsible party. So whoever owns it won't take care of it. And
So
that
you
leads to-
native plant materials then that take care of
the
themselves?
tendency is it leads to two things, which is weeds, overgrown areas, dog feces, garbage collection areas. 10 College Street, perfect example. We tore that building down, we loaned and seeded it. It's now a weed lot. We get complaints all the time. And it's become the neighborhood dog potty location.
Well, I've heard that the sand lots are litter boxes.
Yeah.
And then they're sand boxes.
For kids.
The kids.
Yep.
And then the grass lots become dog dropping.
Oh, yes. And there's a lot left in the dirt from the demolition left over, so they're pretty toxic as well.
I want to agree with both Jason and Lincoln. Lincoln, I think part of the ignoring of downtown is really the housing and tenants that Matt was talking about who aren't living in a Lewiston Housing Authority project, or people who have capital, and so those other people who felt ignored, or a target of the Heritage Initiative. We're going to eliminate housing, and then we're going to eliminate those people. We don't care where they go, but they'll be out of our town. And I think that's a wrong message that we send. But as a planner, one of the most important things for the commercial areas of downtown, this is everywhere, this is not just Lewiston, what's critically important is the residential neighborhoods around that downtown. That's what strengthens the downtown. Not, it can't be in isolation. So I agree. I would love to see more market rate stuff and some mixed income along the riverfront, because that's going to strengthen that side. But we also have to concentrate on the other side too, because what goes on in the housing adjacent to Lewiston Street and all the way up is critically important to that commercial. People got to feel safe when they come down. They got to see good stuff. They want to invest. And I know the other point I wanted to make is the downtown master plan, I think, was successful because it interested people in investing in our downtown, in our community. And this plan needs to do that. It needs to say, come and invest, because we've got a plan, we have ideas, and that's really critical, because we need that investment, and hopefully, Jason, you can do that, and others can do that. So, but Link, we've done a lot of great stuff. We've done a lot of work, and the other point that you made about how the Heritage Initiative really engaged the people saying this is enough, this is not right. That was over 10 years ago. We're still working strong, and hopefully in collaboration, and with the city, as people have mentioned. It's no longer, we're not being ignored, we're not being laughed at. There was a fight, but now we've won, and we're participating with the city in this revitalization effort. So,
couple of thoughts that I think are related. It's funny how the Heritage Initiative keeps coming up all these years later, and at the time when the Heritage Initiative was proposed, it was like, I think everyone went, yeah, we need a Heritage Initiative, but this thing is not what we need. It's interesting to me, related to the comment of sort of like two Lewistons. We've got downtown and then we've got the suburbs. The longer I spend in Lewiston, it's really interesting to me that all those people who live in the suburbs have like a direct familial connection to the downtown.
Yeah.
You talk to these people and they're like, oh yeah, my aunt or my uncle or my grandfather or whomever lived downtown. We used to always walk to and fro and whatever, and they'll tell you stories about living downtown. If we could take that heritage, that piece of, we need those people to come back to the downtown and say, hey, this is not so bad after all, and all those things that I remember so positively are not relegated to the past. That sort of thing could happen again. So that was point one. The second point, Melissa and Lincoln, the city, city policy cuts both ways, and I think since I've lived in Lewiston, I know since you've been working here, Lincoln, the city has focused a lot of resources on the downtown, and we've really turned a corner, and I think that things are headed in the right direction. However, there's a legacy of public policy in Lewiston that has disincentivized people investing in the downtown. I'll mention three things specifically. There's a laundry list of things we could talk about. One thing's parking policy in the downtown. We've started to make some progress on that. We still have some really poor policy related to new developments and parking requirements in the downtown that we can improve upon to encourage people to come downtown. The second thing, just as another example, zoning related to daycare. Very difficult to have a daycare in the downtown because of green space requirements and things like that. It makes it difficult for people to live, work downtown. Third thing, what was my third example for? Something that Councilor Saddlemeyer has recently been discussing, infrastructure and how we fund infrastructure improvements in the downtown and how that might incentivize or disincentivize investment in different parts of the downtown. So there's a legacy of city policy, I think, that has discouraged people from investing and living downtown, and that predates you and it's old. We need to continue chipping away at that stuff, and we need to make sure that we put in place policies that incentivize investment, whether of capital or of your own life in the downtown area, and turn that around. So.
I wanted to do a follow-up with you, sir. I'm kind of confused. Before you take the steps to tear a building down,